Welcome to Punching Above Your Weight. This is a podcast that tells the story of people overcoming adversity to reach their goal. We're all told that losing weight is impossible. Well, join me as I learn from the people who have proved that theory wrong. I hope you enjoy. Welcome back to episode 19 of Punching Above Your Weight. Today, we've got a New Zealander coming on. Now, this is Brine from New Zealand, and he's here to talk about his, quite amazing journey and experience with weight loss and what he's been through from a pretty young age. So, Chris, I usually take this opportunity to get you to introduce yourself and let us know where it all started, mate.
Cool. Thanks, mate. I appreciate you having me on the show. So where did it start? It started when I was in my teens. So I'll take you back to where I was as a teenager. I was quite an active kid. I was really into sport. I was playing rugby and soccer and cricket and any kind of sport you could think of, I'd be doing it. I was in my under 55 kilo rugby team at the time. When I first started contracting pains and these symptoms of what we later found out was lupus. I didn't really know it at the time. It probably sort of started 6 months before any diagnosis happened because the pains were just minor, and the doctor said it was growing pains. But it turned into, after about 6 months, it kind of really developed and ramped up. And it turned into this excruciating, painful life where I couldn't move. I was basically stuck in bed. My sisters would run across the lino floor, and the vibration of that would just send like these waves of pain up my body.
Wow.
Like if a big truck drove past the house, it would be excruciating. So a lot of pain around that kind of stuff. I got admitted into hospital. So I think I was about 15 years old at that point in time. So right in the middle of that your school career. And I spent up to about 18 months in hospital. I did come out briefly at around the 12-month mark because they sort of said, "Oh, you're pretty good, you can go." Then it all came coming back and with a vengeance about 3 weeks later, and back into hospital, back into the treatments and stuff like that.
So, Chris, sorry to interrupt, mate. So, as a 15-year-old, the prime of your life, you're basically bedridden in a hospital. Yeah,
exactly. Wow. And for me, that was like the very worst place you could be because all I wanted to do was be active and be out playing sport. My whole life goal was to play sport. I didn't care about school so much. I went to school to play sport. That was all I wanted to do. Yeah.
Wow.
But so the time I was in hospital, that's when I sort of really ballooned up because one, I was on a lot of medication. So the medication didn't help. It was very fluid retaining. So you kind of balloon out quite quickly on the medication that you're on. But I was also bored because at 15 years old, back in those days, I was in a ward where we were in the arthritis ward. My next person that I could talk to was in the 80s, 90s year old. We had nothing in common, right? I couldn't talk to those guys. And plus I was 15 and didn't really know what the hell was going on. So in that time, I just passed the time because I couldn't really hold a book that would hurt my wrist too much. I would just eat. I would just have whatever I could. And my mum was still coming in and visiting me pretty much every single day. And I'd always ask for food, and she's like, "No, you can't have it," because you could see what was happening. But that's all. She was also like, "Well, this is all you can do." So she'd give me bags of grapes or a bunch of apples or something like that, and I'll just demolish it like within seconds type stuff because I had no control. I just wanted to have some control over something.
Yeah. So that could have been a lot worse if your mum, had, I guess, given in, I suppose. And
yeah, well, that's right. Like, I think at the start she probably gave me a few chocolates and stuff like that, but they quickly sort of realized that you couldn't do this, and this is going to be a long time being in this situation. The treatments weren't really working as effectively as they predicted because they hadn't really seen this kind of severity before, and they haven't really dealt with it the way I had contracted it, which was through a medication I was on. Most of the time with lupus, it's more around a genetic anomaly that happens, like a disease. And once you have it, you've kind of got it, and it's a very unpleasant way to live, and a lot of people will die from this disease. So luckily for me, I did get the way I got it. It was a curable disease, and I was able to recover to who I am now. But there was a long time in that process where I was very unhappy, very overweight, and didn't really know what the hell I was doing.
Well, yeah, it certainly robbed you of some prime years too, I imagine, you know.
That's right. Yeah.
So mate, what did your weight peak at? You went from like the under 55 kg range to what?
So it peaked. Now, when you're that overweight, getting on the scales is kind of the last thing you want to do, right? But I did have to weigh myself for the hospital stuff. So that when I last saw that, it was 117 kilos. So I over doubled my body weight in that period of time, and I wasn't too impressed by that.
Yeah, so in an 18-month period, any height growth in that time, given you were 15?
I'm sure there was, but I'm not a very tall person anyway. So there might have been a couple of inches, but honestly, I probably went to school and came out of school at that time maybe a few inches taller. But I'm only like 5'8" now, so there's not a lot of growth in there.
Well, I mean, doubling of weight is never going to be mostly related to height anyway, you know, in that period of time. So, mate, that's significant.
But you've also got to account for muscle atrophy as well. So being stuck in a bed, like there was no muscle remaining, basically. So, you've got that flip side of things with it.
So, mate, so you got out of hospital. What happens next? Like, what direction does it go?
So when I first got out, like my mental state was pretty bad. I really didn't want to be here anymore. So for me, I just wanted to be in a room, turn the lights off, stay in bed, because that's what I've been doing for the last 18 months. That was my safe zone as well, I guess, at that point in time. And doing anything else was really hard. You're so unfit, like just walking around the house was like tiring. So to go from there to something else was quite daunting. But what drove me to go separate, to not stay in there, was two things. One, I had the doctors saying, you're going to experience residue pain for a long time. This is kind of it for you. Don't expect to play sport. Don't expect to be able to do what you used to be able to do. And then I had my mum. Now I love my mum. She's amazing. But she's very straight up and hard when she needs to be. And she said to me, look at you. You've got love handles hanging out all over the show. You need to do something about it. And I was like, it wasn't so much what she said. It was more like, you know what? I'm going to show you guys and prove you guys wrong. So it worked, probably not in the right way, but it's still got me working to prove them wrong or show them that that's not who I was.
Okay. So this is at about 17, 18 years of age. What did you do?
17. So I really had no idea about nutrition. I had no idea about exercise, but I did the best I could. I didn't get any help because I was young. I didn't really know how to get help and who to talk to. So what I just did is stopped eating as much food. I just restricted my calories all the way down, in the wrong way though. So I was doing a lot of fasting and I was doing running and I was doing some gym exercise as well. Now that worked really effectively for me. And I got to around 65 kilo, I think. So I dropped all that weight down to about 65 kilo. So, 50 kilo plus weight loss in that time. And then I joined the New Zealand Army. So that was my goal. I wanted to get into the army, the infantry. I couldn't think of anything harder to achieve. So I was like, right, I'm going to do the hardest thing I could think of. I'm going to prove other people wrong, and I'm going to lose the weight and get fit enough to join the army. And that's what I did. So, and that's also what sort of kickstarted my journey into exercise and fitness and trying to maintain a healthy weight.
So this was the big up yours to the doctors, like, you're telling me that I won't be able to play sport, and here I am doing a physical job in the armed forces. How long
Pretty
were you
much.
how long were you in the army for, Chris?
So I was in there for 6 years in the infantry there, and like it was great. I really enjoyed it. It taught me a lot of discipline as well, and did a couple of deployments as well. So good life experience, and made some amazing friends in there. And yeah, I don't regret doing it at all. So it really sort of set me up for my career moving forward. I am also glad I left that army, because it was a quite bully culture and toxic mentality from some people that would try to bully you or abuse you as well.
Yeah,
So
right.
I was kind of glad to get out of it. Yeah.
So you're in a good space now.
Yeah. So, it took me a long time to sort of mature and grow, but to where I am now. So look, I'm 38 years old now. I'm an old man, getting there anyway. I've got 2 little girls of my own, my wife. So it's all about them these days.
Yeah.
And as a parent, as a husband, you do have to mature and grow and be there for them and deal with your own issues first before you can help other people deal with theirs.
So, mate, tell me, like, so you said how you basically got into the armed forces. You were there for 6 years, and then you've progressed since then. Tell me about how the evolution of your fitness or nutrition mentality really unfolded during that time.
So in the army, as you can imagine, it's a lot of cardio. You're running everywhere. You've got packs on your back. There's lots of agility. There's lots of endurance training. There's lots of power and speed training as well to move quickly in between spaces. So like you see in the movies, right? Carrying logs on your shoulders, running through creeks with packs on your back, fighting with guns, and then doing hand-to-hand combat as well. So that was more the fitness style, so more functional type stuff. And again, my nutrition in there, we had meals provided for us in the army, but I would often skip meals back then as well, because I was still really, really concerned that I didn't ever want to go back to that overweight side of things again. Like it was a bit of a paranoia for me back in those days. So I really, at that stage, had no knowledge about how to do healthier lifestyle nutrition.
Yeah. So you were just skipping meals, and did that affect you then? Yeah. Like in terms of what you were able to do physically in the armed forces?
Yeah, definitely. So at the time, you don't really think about it, because it's what you're always doing, and you're so used to it. You don't really understand that because you're not fueling your body right, you're not able to perform at the same level. But as for now, understanding nutrition, understanding how we need to eat and relate ourselves to food. I see, so right now, I'm a personal trainer. So my clients come in, and if they haven't eaten, you can tell straight away. Like they've faded very quickly in the sessions, and hey, what did you eat today? Oh, I haven't eaten anything. Oh, I had a banana. It's like, yeah, and I can tell, like you can't do what you're normally able to do. But at that stage, I was naive to that. I didn't understand the impact that it has.
Are you tired of wasting so much time and mental space on trying to eat healthy? Introducing Mealsy. Mealsy is a meal planning app where with just a few simple clicks, you can create a meal plan that contains only dietitian created recipes. You select your food preferences, any foods you wish to avoid, and your goals, and in a matter of seconds, you have a meal plan fit with shopping lists, recipe instructions, and all the nutrition information to give you the confidence that you're eating the right food for you and your family. Go to mealsy.com. That's MEALZEE.com. Thanks. With what you've been through as a 15-year-old, I mean, I can understand that fear that develops, and I see it in a lot of my clients as well. There's just this fear of, like, I need to do whatever I can to not put that weight back on. And, we know a calorie deficit is what's required to drop body fat. But I mean, it can be really confusing and complicated for someone that doesn't have that knowledge. So the easiest thing to do is just restrict, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Did your weight get dangerously low at all, Chris, or were you?
Not dangerously low. So I was down to around in that sort of low 60s, and exercising and training. So I had a bit of muscle on me, but there was no fat. Like, you would have, if you'd seen the photos, be like, you'd shred it, you're ready for a bodybuilding show, that kind of stuff. So, but I was like that all year round. So if I didn't have abs, I was failing in life. There was something wrong, and I would like starve myself. I would only have soup for dinner, and the rest was then nothing all day, because I had to have that physique all the time, because there was no way in hell I was ever going to be where I was from, being sick.
So just to give people an idea, you were low 60s then. What are you sitting at now, if you don't mind me asking, roughly?
Now I'm 105. So there's been, in that time, obviously I've been training really hard. I do bodybuilding competitively now. So there's a lot of muscle growth in there as well. So it's not the same. So if you compare my 117 kilo photo to my size now, there's a vast difference. And that's purely because of the muscle growth. So muscle weighs more than fat.
With your permission, I'll put some photos in the show notes for anyone that's only listening. Yeah, so they can get an idea. I asked that question because I'm looking at you, like I'm like, you're clearly into bodybuilding and in good shape, and I was just trying to get that low 60 kg image. You can certainly see that extreme side of it. And so so mate, you what happened then? Like, how did you manage to get on top of it? Was it when you sort of went down to that career path of the fitness industry where you really started to learn about the nutrition side of it?
Yeah, exactly that. So 8 years ago, my wife and I got into bodybuilding. She wanted to do it first. So she was like, I want to do a show. I was like, well, look, if you do one, I'll do one with you. So she's a very intelligent woman. She's very driven. And she was the one that said, if you want to do a show, you need to eat properly and you need to do these things. I was like, okay, I'll follow along. We then got into like our study, and we did our research and did our courses to be qualified as trainers, and then ongoing from there. So it wasn't really until that time that I was able to understand how important nutrition is, and the way to look better and be healthier is not necessarily just restricting the amount of meals you have or restricting the amount of food you have. So for my first show, I actually ate more food going into it than I did normally.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's amazing, isn't
it? And you look better. It's crazy. Yeah. So these days, I'm a big advocate of helping people with the similar sort of struggles that I went through, where I was overweight or like struggling with just how to approach food and how to consume it, because there's so much information out there on social media, but unfortunately a lot of it is garbage. And it's like people's, they have these agendas that they want to sort of push on people, and so it's really confusing for someone to understand and kind of regulate it all.
Oh, it is. Chris, when I was most confused was as a new grad. I'd just done a 4-year degree as a dietitian, and then you come out and it's like, all these testimonials and these studies, N+1 studies where it's someone's got these results, and it's like, well, I'm sort of taught differently. But it is confusing, and you can see what it's like for the our clients at the end of the day, like why they might make the easy choices that they do.
Yes, well, that's it, right? And if you don't know anything better, then you're only going to do what you can. And the easiest thing to do is not eat, because that's all you know.
That's right. It's interesting that you said you looked better. It's like it's almost as if there's like vitamins and minerals in this food or something that our body needs.
Crazy thought about that, isn't it?
Mate, so you're like we're talking a good 20 years, your journey, like to get from where you were to where you are.
I'm a slow learner, obviously.
Oh, mate, I fit that category, so don't worry. Like, if you could invent one thing for your clients now that made life easier, what would it be? Like, how do you save them time?
Oh man, that's really hard, because like there's no easy way to do it. So I think it would have to be something that's going to help someone mentally prepare and be more what would you call it? Just more at peace with themselves, maybe, and at peace with the process.
Yeah.
Because like there's no magic pill you can take. If there was a magic pill, like you'd be a billionaire tomorrow, right? Because there's just nothing out there. There's stuff that can help you, but at the end of the day, it only comes down to you and what you do forever. Because it's not about the next 6 to 12 to 20 weeks. It's about creating those healthy habits, that healthy lifestyle to be able to eat and be normal, have a social life, go out and enjoy yourself, but still be healthy and still be in that good goal weight range as well.
Yeah, not that all or none mentality that you get people. But you mentioned there about make peace with themselves. I'll sort of quiz you on that, in that, like, do you think that is so, if someone's at peace with themselves, they give themselves more time to actually learn what the fundamentals and what they need?
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. So not so much as going like at peace and giving up, but like going at peace with the process and saying, I understand it's going to take time. I understand that there's going to be sacrifices I have to make. I understand that I'm not going to be able to have that piece of chocolate every single day and follow it up with a cake and a cookie. You have to regulate yourself, because if you were to flip that over and let's say you're a parent, and as a baby you're bringing your child up, we all know that as a kid, if you give them cookies and cakes for food, that's not a good diet, right? But yet we feed ourselves that, so we're not any different. In fact, we're probably worse, because we're not as active as a baby. They're crawling around all over the show.
They're growing. They're growing as well.
Yeah, they're growing. They need that nutrient, right? Whereas we like to indulge, and we're like the quick fix, and the mentality these days with everything so quick and easy, it's really easy to get those fixes, and it's quite hard to avoid them. So what do you do as someone that's trying to do the right thing, but you've got everything just smashing in the face with eat this, try this, all these foods and treats that you want to have because that's what you're used to having.
Yeah. Mate, last question that I usually finish off with is, and it's really about passing on your pearls of wisdom, but if you could speak to 17-year-old Chris or 15-year-old Chris that was in the situation you're in, or someone that's in that situation, what sort of advice would you give them that would sort of set them on that path to get to where you are now?
The biggest thing, and I say this to every single person, is to get someone that you can be accountable to that knows more than you. Now, ideally, that's someone like yourself, like someone who's done the study, like done the training to understand food and can then coach you to progress in your life. So that could be like a trainer that's done some nutrition as well. It could be a dietitian, nutritionist, that kind of stuff. But don't just like listen to average Joe or Joe blogs down the road and follow what they did that worked for them, because you're different. Everyone is different, and what might work for some people won't work for you because they have a different life, they have a different body. So you need to understand that it's about you and your journey, and you've got to find the best way that's going to suit you as your lifestyle and what your goals are. But to do that, get help, like ask advice from qualified, educated people, not just from Facebook groups that everyone's doing the same thing and try this, try that, that kind of stuff.
I love that, mate. And the thing that I don't see clients anymore. We sold our business, but I have a few other things on the side. But the one thing I struggle with is that people, the most important asset they have is their health, but it's the thing they're least likely to invest in. And so I love that advice. Like get someone who knows, because you can't learn it instantly. You've got to rely on someone who's been there.
When you're sick, you go to a doctor. Like, why wouldn't you do the same thing when you're overweight? But it's also like you need to be able to have the accountability to someone as well. So someone that's going to be like, right, mate, this is what we're doing. And when you slip up, okay, you slipped up, that's cool. let's make some strategies. Let's plan a different action for you to then help you prevent that doing it again. Because it's not just about eating food. It's a whole approach to it. It's a holistic approach, like your sleep, your hormones, your activity level, your stress level. Like all these things have a factor in getting you towards your goal. So you can't do it by yourself. You have to get help. Yeah. For me, I'm a coach, I'm a trainer, I've been doing it for a long time. I still have a coach. I still have someone that I'm accountable to as well, because like, it's not so much about what I know now, it's more around about, if I don't have a plan, then it's easy to go off track. If I don't have structure in my life, then it's too easy to go, oh, today I'm just going to not do it. That kind of stuff.
I love that, mate. I love that. You've got to coach yourself. Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
So, mate, you've got your own fitness business. If anyone in, it's New Zealand, Takaraki?
Close. Taranaki, Plymouth. Yep.
Yeah. How do they get in touch with you if they're looking to, get the help that you can provide?
So, I've got my good old trusted Instagram account, which is just Chris_Brine_fitness.
Brine.
Brine, that's correct. And my Facebook, which is just same thing, Chris Brine Fitness. But that's pretty much the two best ways to get in contact with me.
Perfect. I'll put them in the show notes so people can just click on it.
Appreciate
mate, thanks very much. Thanks for coming on. It's just been great chatting.
I appreciate your time. It's been awesome. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah. See you, mate.
Thanks for listening. I hope you learned something from this podcast. Please subscribe, and if you have your own story to tell, please email us at hello@scood.co. Thanks.